When we say tennis, you might immediately start thinking of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, or Novak Djokovic. But none of them have the title of being the most successful tennis player of all time, as that belongs to a certain Serena Williams. She's got a wealth of records that might never be broken, and now she's beating the allegations of potential retirement, hinting at a comeback this year. So let's get into it. Serena's return to tennis. The GOAT of tennis for many, Serena Williams is set to make a long-awaited return to tennis. She may be 40 now, but her career has been full of remarkable comebacks, and she's just not someone that you can write off. The American legend hasn't played professionally since her withdrawal from last year's Wimbledon first round due to a leg injury. A recent story emerged on Instagram recently where Serena was talking to Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. She was asked if she'd be playing in this year's event, the US Open, and her response was, "Wimbledon's before the US Open." This more or less confirms that Serena's eyeing a comeback on grass in a couple of months to the most prestigious tournament in tennis. The 7-time Wimbledon champion discussed her comeback and mentioned that the idea of returning to court was exciting. Rodgers added the final remark in the video by saying what everyone else has been saying for the last few weeks: she's back. Wimbledon doesn't start until late June, and while there hasn't been an official confirmation of sorts from Serena's reps, we're led to believe that there's a lot of optimism surrounding her return to tennis. This is, of course, fantastic news for the world of tennis because earlier there were fears that Serena might decide to call it a day. Serena's remarkable achievement and absence. The year is 2017. Serena's set to return to the Australian Open after losing the final and her #1 ranking last year to the late-blooming German Angelique Kerber. Despite being ranked #2 in the world, Serena's battling injuries to her knee and shoulder, and no one knows if she's made a complete recovery or not. Either way, she's far from being the dominant force that she was for 2 decades or more, and now the new generation of WTA stars can just feel a little bit braver about facing her. The thing is, you don't write off Serena Williams, no matter what the age, no matter what the problem. Without dropping a single set in the entire tournament, Serena is in the finals of the Australian Open in 2017 and saw herself up against a familiar opponent in her sister, Venus Williams. Serena went on to make light work of her elder sister in the final and won a record-breaking 23rd Grand Slam, a feat that no other tennis player, man or woman, has managed to achieve. Somehow, in the coming weeks after her victory though, her achievement would get even bigger as she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl 7 months later. Fans and analysts did the math as Serena confirmed that she was pregnant during her successful Australian Open campaign, making her achievement much more incredible. Since then, expectedly, life has been a juggling act for Serena as she tries to balance her personal life along with tennis and many other commitments of motherhood. She has returned to the court several times in the last 5 years, but battling with injuries and a tough schedule means that she hasn't been able to make a mark yet. Could Serena be close to retirement? Serena will be 41 by the end of this year. She's got a daughter who's already 5 years old, and tennis isn't the first thing on Serena's priority list anymore. That's why a lot of rumors surround her immediate future, and while she's set to return to action this year, there's fear that she could retire by the end of this year. Maybe, if we're talking about Serena from 2 years ago, we could have been more sure about a potential retirement. Her baby Olympia was much younger, meaning there was extra responsibility at the time, and her form was off too. However, now the talks about a retirement being close aren't accurate at all. That's because over the last year, Serena has taken an extended break from tennis, went through recovery, and recovered from her injuries as she nears a comeback. Players like Serena, Federer, Nadal, and etc. aren't just happy by returning to the tour and playing tournaments just for the sake of it. They wouldn't be playing if they thought they had no chance of winning the biggest prize, and that's why, as confirmed by Serena's coach, she won't stop until she's won a Grand Slam. Now, this could mean that should Serena mark her return with a Wimbledon title, she could decide to end her career right then and there on a high, much like Ash Barty, but maybe a fairy tale ending would be winning a 7th US Open title and calling it a day in front of her home fans. Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Swiatek dominate the tour. The next gen might have taken its time to challenge for the biggest trophies in the ATP, but the next gen has definitely arrived. 18-year-old Carlos Alcaraz from Spain and 20-year-old Iga Swiatek from Poland have continued their brilliant domination of the tour in 2022 as they added the Barcelona Open and Stuttgart Open to their trophy rooms, respectively. Alcaraz took the tennis world by surprise last year after he won his first ranking title, defeating Richard Gasquet, and hasn't looked back since. This year, he has a 23-3 record, and 2 of his defeats came against Rafael Nadal and Matteo Berrettini. He's added 3 more titles to his collection, and he'll enter Roland Garros ranked in the top 10 himself. On the other hand, Swiatek has been even more impressive than Alcaraz. Her first title in the WTA came at Roland Garros, and that's a pretty impressive way to win your first trophy at the highest level. Her domination on clay was second to none in her breakout season in 2020, but was defeated by Maria Sciacca in 2021 in Roland Garros. This year, though, she's even become a force on hard courts and has a 32-3 record with 4 titles. Not to mention, she's also the world #1 and the favorite going into the French Open. Fair to say, the kids are all right. Roger Federer's confirmed return. Serena Williams isn't the only GOAT targeting a return this year. April has been very kind to the fans of the sporting world, as not one but 2 legends of the game have confirmed their returns to tennis. Roger Federer is probably the biggest name in tennis history, and his popularity transcends the popularity of the sport itself. Like Serena, Federer hasn't played on the tour since Wimbledon last year, and like Serena, there are fears that Federer might not grace the tennis courts with his presence ever again. Federer, pushing 41 this year, has confirmed that he'll be making a return to the Basel Open in Switzerland, his hometown, and the place where he featured as a ball kid before going on to win the tournament 10 times. The 20-time Grand Slam winner has been nursing a return from multiple knee injuries that have halted progress in the later stages of his career. Again, though, Federer is no stranger to comebacks, having made perhaps the greatest comeback in the history of the sport in 2017, when he returned to win the Australian Open, the Sunshine Double, and Wimbledon after being out for many months with an injury. Federer fans, in fact sports fans from all over the world, will be hoping that their favorite tennis player has it in him to prove his doubters wrong one last time. He was initially targeted as a return for Wimbledon, but it seems like the grass season will come too early for the Swiss maestro, as he eyes a return to the tour before October, potentially in the Laver Cup. Novak Djokovic to defend his Wimbledon crown. It was confirmed by the organizers of Wimbledon that they will allow unvaccinated players to participate in Wimbledon this year. This comes as great news for Novak Djokovic, men's #1 tennis player. Novak Djokovic was infamously involved in a huge fiasco with the Australian authorities earlier this year when he was deported from Australia. He had arrived in Australia, but after not being allowed to take part in the Australian Open because of his quote Novak status, get it? He was sent back by the authorities. Djokovic hasn't taken a vaccine for COVID-19 and refused to take it even after being omitted from the Australian Open. He'll be in action before Wimbledon, however, as he gets ready for the Roland Garros in France, eyeing a record-tying 21st Grand Slam title. Djokovic's chances of winning Wimbledon this year will be boosted by the fact that there will be some notable absentees, including the Russian world #2, Daniil Medvedev. Wimbledon decided to ban Russian players from participating in the tournament this year following Russia's war on Ukraine. Djokovic criticized the decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players, calling it crazy. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Do you think Serena Williams can win Wimbledon on her return to tennis? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. See you in the next one.